Bonjour tout le monde, welcome to this video on the irregular verb être, which is arguably the most important verb in the French language. Before we look at any conjugations, let's just have a quick look at how to use être. Most of the time you use être in any situation where you use be in English, the exceptions to that being age, hunger, thirst, and body temperature. For these you actually use avoir. So for example, if you want to say I am 20 years old, you don't say je suis 20 ans, but j'ai 20 ans. And of course, être is also an auxiliary verb in the compound tenses. Speaking of tenses, let's just have a quick look at the present tense conjugation of être, which is pretty much as irregular as it gets. We have je suis, tu es, il, elle, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, and ils, elles sont. Be careful not to confuse ils, elles sont, which is they are, and ils, elles ont, which is they have. In terms of passé composé, être is actually quite interesting because although être is an auxiliary verb, it's not its own auxiliary verb. Être actually uses avoir in the passé composé, so we start with the present tense conjugation of avoir, and to that we need to add the past participle, which for être is été. So we have j'ai été, tu as été, ils, elles ont a été, nous avons été, vous avez été, and ils, elles ont été. Être is the only verb which is irregular in the imperfect tense simply because its present tense new form does not end with ons. So instead we just have to take for granted the fact that the stem for être is et, and then to that we add the usual imperfect ending. So we have j'étais, tu étais, ils, elles ont été, nous étions, vous étiez, and ils, elles étaient. In terms of future simple, again, it's very irregular. The stem for être is ser, S-E-R, and then to that we add the usual future endings, which, by the way, are very similar to the present tense conjugation of avoir. We have je serai, tu seras, il, elle, on sera, nous serons, vous serez, ils, elles seront. And the conditional conjugation is very similar because, of course, the stem for the conditional is always the same as the stem for the future. So again, we have ser, and then to that we add the imperfect endings. Remember, with both the future and the conditional, the irregularity is only ever with the stem. The endings are always the same. So the conditional conjugation for être is je serai, tu serais, ils, elles, on seraient, nous serions, vous seriez, and ils, elles seraient. The subjunctive again is really rather irregular, but there is a little bit of a pattern going on here. We have je sois, tu sois, il, elle, on soit, nous soyons, vous soyez, and il, elle soient. You don't need to know the passé simple conjugation in any kind of detail, but you do need to be able to recognize it, and the passé simple forms for être are very different, so just make sure you recognize them. We have je fus, tu fus, il, elle, on fut, nous fûmes, vous fûtes, and ils, elles furent. And then finally we have a look at the imperative conjugation, for which of course there are only three forms because you can't give an order to yourself. And the imperative for être is actually exactly the same as the subjunctive. So we have tu sois, nous soyons, and vous soyez. So that's all for être. This has only been a quick look at être. We don't expect you to be fluent. We don't expect you to have memorized all of these conjugations just from this video. This is just an overview. Lots of practice will help you remember the conjugations. If you want to learn about more irregular verbs, I have a playlist where all of my irregular verb videos are kept. And if you've seen a tense in this video that you're not quite sure about, go to my verbs playlist where I've got lots of videos about different tenses. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please do not be afraid to ask. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. À bientôt.